say anything about this check that's up on the screen?
He did.
What did he say?
He said that they had found a check in Alec's office from my firm that was made payable directly to him. I don't remember exactly how he described it, but he said, we found a check. We found out that Alec's stealing money from the clients and the firm, and we found a check from your office, and I need to know if you've got that $792,000 in your account. We're going to need to get that paid to us, and I need you not to say anything until Tuesday when we can issue a press release.
How long do you think after you got that call or those calls from Lee that you tried to reach out to your friend, the defendant?
It probably took me an hour, maybe two, to finish what we were doing and get to where I could, where I felt like I could reach out to him without being in the middle of other people.
And what was his response again?
Something to the effect of he couldn't talk right then, that he was, I think it was something to do with the fact of meeting with probate attorneys or something like that, and that he would talk to me later.
This is on September 3rd?
Friday, September the 3rd. The phone call from Lee was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon or so.
Did you talk to Alec later on that day?
That night, yes, sir.
And what was your conversation then?
I don't remember if he called me or I called him and was able to get him. And I said, Alec, I need to know what's going on. You know, Lee has called me about this, and I need to talk to you, and it needs to be face-to-face. I need to know what's going on. And he was non-committal about meeting, said he had a number of things he had to deal with, and that he would try to meet with me the next day.
Okay. So
I mean, I was at home. My wife was there. You know, I mean, I was talking to him on the phone, but I wanted to talk to him face to face to find out what was going on.
How were you feeling?
Shocked, betrayed, mad. I mean, I don't know, numb. I didn't.
What happened the next morning? Was that Saturday?
Saturday morning, September the 4th.
What year?
2021.
Did you try to get in touch with the defendant?
I did. I woke up early that morning, told my wife. I mean, I had, you know, told her that evening that there was a problem. I didn't get into a lot of detail with her, just told her there was a problem. And woke up the next morning, told her I was going to drive down to Beaufort. I thought Alec was staying at his brother's house, and I was going to drive down and talk to him. And so I got in the car and took off driving towards Okatee.
Were you trying to get in touch with him? And
called him a bunch.
Not getting in touch with him?
No answer. No, sir.
So you just decided to go on down there and find him?
Yes, sir.
So you drive where?
I started driving down I-95 towards Okatee, and he called me before I was going to get off and go to John Marvin's place. But he got off. He called me before.
Slow down. You say Okatee. What's Okatee?
I mean, that's what I call the area where his brother John Marvin lives. It might not be technically correct, but that's what I call it.
But that's where you thought he was?
I was under the impression that's where he was staying, yes, sir.
So you were just going to show up?
I was hoping that he would call me back on my way, but if not, I was just going to show up, yes, sir.
And so what happened along the way?
He called me while I was on the road down there and told me that he was sorry he hadn't been able to take my calls, and that he would meet me at his mother and father's house in Alameda.
Did that meeting ultimately happen?
It did.
About what time did that happen?
Kind of late mid-morning. I want to say around 11 o'clock or so, sometime before lunch.
Okay. And so tell me about that meeting.
I got there before he did. I think I waited in the car maybe out at the front of the driveway, and then when he pulled in, I followed him in. We got out, didn't say anything in the driveway. Went through the side door. I believe the caretaker was there. The lady that helped take care of, one of the ladies at least that helped take care of Miss Libby was there. She went kind of towards the back, and he and I went out on the front porch.
Okay. What was your conversation with him on the front porch? About what time was this again?
I don't know the exact time. Sometime between 10:30 and noon, but I want to say it was around 11 o'clock or so. Okay. It was I was there for about 20 minutes.
All right. Tell me about the conversation that you had.
We went out on the front porch. We still hadn't said anything to each other than he said, let's go out on the front porch and talk. went out on the front porch, and I looked at him, and I said, Elliot, and I'm sure I said F or H or something. I said, what the is going on? I need to know what's going on. Because I know about this thing that Lee's called me about, and I need to know if there's something else you've done that involves me that I don't know about. That's a problem for me. What is going on?
What does he say?
He didn't say anything. He broke down crying. Said, I can't talk. I can't right this second, Chris. He walked inside and grabbed a handful of paper towels and came back out on the porch and said, I'm sorry. I've had a drug problem. I'm addicted to opioids. And I don't remember if he said 20 years or exactly how many years, but he said, I've been addicted to opioids for something like 20 years, I think is what he said. And, I don't remember exactly how the conversation went. There were parts where it was, I don't want to say heated like we were screaming and hollering at each other and it never came to blows, but there were parts where it was heated and parts where it was silent and parts where it was probably calmer. He said he had a drug addiction, and then he admitted he had been stealing money,
From who?
From his law firm and from clients.
Did he say?
And he didn't specifically spell any certain person out or any certain organization out, but he said, I've been stealing from the firm and from clients.
What did he say about that 192 with you? What was the phrase he used?
I have to cuss to say it. He said,
Go ahead and say it.
He said, I shit you up. I'm sorry, I've shit you up. And shit a lot of people up. I asked him, how long has this been going on? I couldn't believe that I didn't know it. Never saw it. Never suspected it. Drugs or money.
And what did he say?
Just said it had been going on for a long time.
Did you say anything else in this conversation?
Just said he had been good about covering it up, especially the drugs. I didn't really ask much about I didn't know the extent of the client stuff. I knew about me and my $192,000. And in the phone call with Lee, he had said that Alec had been stealing from the firm and from clients. But I didn't know about any specific clients or any specific cases, so we didn't talk about that. I didn't ask about that.
How'd the conversation end?
I don't remember exactly how it ended. I know I left. I don't remember. Like I said, I know we didn't come to blows, and we weren't screaming and hollering at each other when I left, and I wasn't screaming and hollering at him. I was angry. I didn't know how to feel. But at some point I left.
Where'd you go after that?
I started driving back to Columbia and just went through the drive-through at Hardee's in Hampton to grab something for lunch on the way out.
Since that conversation on September 4th, shortly before noon, have you had any conversation with the defendant since then?
No verbal conversations. No, sir.
Did you ever get a text from him?
I've received one or two texts from him.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 351, see if you recognize this.
Yes, sir. It's a text I received from Alec on September the 16th. I responded on September the 17th.
Put States 351 up on the screen. That's the text you received from Alec.
Offer that in evidence.
No, my apologies, Your Honor. At this time, I offer States 351 in evidence.
Yes, sir.
No additional objections, Your Honor.
Submitted.
All right, now I'm going to put it up on the screen. Is that the text you received from the defendant?
It is, yes, sir.
Was that the usual number you have for him, or was that a different number?
It's not the normal number. I don't know that I'd ever seen that number before.
Since that time, you haven't had any conversation with him?
I think he texted me maybe one other time, and I tried to respond with something as basic as what I said there, just trying to respond. But not really communicate. I think there may have been one other text very similar to that.
You ever get that $192,000 back?
No, sir.
And when you covered your friend and put that in your trust account, is it because you trusted him?
Yes, sir.
On June 7th, 2021, you're looking again at States 452. The defendant had texted you, call me if you up, correct?
Yes, sir.
And going back to 451, you called him once and he didn't answer, and then got that second call. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. He texted me at 9:52. I called him at 9:52. 1 minute, there was no answer, and then I called back at 9:53.
And that was a 3-minute call, that second call?
I can't read on the sheet, but it was very short. I think it was 3 or 4 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes? 3 or 4 minutes?
Yes, sir. Very short.
And you talked to him. I think you've testified. Mentioned a couple things, and he said that he was where and he needed to go?
He said, I'm about to get back home. You know, service is always bad out here. Can we just talk tomorrow? Or he might have said, I'm about to get back to Moselle. I don't remember which phrase he used.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Please answer any questions the defense has.